Good day everyone. I am Florante Berlangao, PSBA major in Operation Management, second year at Northern Bukidnon State College. In talking about the gender and development. So, the theories of gender development. What is a theory? In everyday use, a theory is usually understood as a hunch or personal view that attempt to explain the goings on of the world. No? However, a theory is so much more than a hunch. A theory is a logical statement of ideas explaining observed facts or phenomena. Uh, a theory started as a hypothesis or group of hypotheses about an observed phenomenon, and it is supported by data through experimentation. Uh, this uh, this will briefly we will discuss some relevant theories on gender development. So gender development refers to a process by which a person builds on his or her sense of self within the context of the gender norms expected by his or her community. So regardless of one's birth sex, gender development uh, is the process of how a person expresses their femininity or masculinity as a influenced by nature and nurture. So meanwhile, gender norms are traits or behavior that are generally associated with either being a male, no, masculine traits such as being dominant, brave, aggressive and competitive, or being a female, feminine traits such as a helpless, need, needs protection, nurturing, motherly, passive. So in general, gender norms dictate gender rules. For example, the gender norm is that men are breadwinners and the women are caregivers. So thus, an expected gender rule. So the men go to work while the women stay at home. So that gender concept of the concept of gender as social construct as recent throughout history. The gender was merely associated with grammar, where a word could have a masculine, feminine, or neutral inflection. It only started to move towards being a cultural construct described as acquired and development. Now we were talking about a gender and development, or what is gender through society and how we develop that gender in different environment in the society. So now, so we were talking about gender and development. So probably we're going to define what is gender and how we develop it in the society. So first thing first, we're tackled about the sex versus a gender. So sex and gender are essential components of a human life. So these components are affect how one views himself or herself as a person, as well as a how a person sees that threats to others. So human beings are a diverse species. So this diversity includes, among others, race, religion, culture, socioeconomic status, physical ability, mental ability, emotional state, sexuality, and yes, that is sex and gender. So unfortunately, traditional views on sex and gender have made these topics as a sensitive and complicated discussion. So, those who do not conform to the traditional views often face a discrimination, violence, and bullying, as well as suffer a higher rate of a mental health problems. So it is important to discuss what is sex and gender so that everyone would have a better understanding of this human aspect. So it is also with the hope that this discussion could help create a common ground to start with the addressing issues such as discrimination, no, violence, bullying, and mentally related to sex and gender. So that's what uh, the gender we develop in the development we develop in different environment and society. Now let us proceed what gender is or how we define gender. So, physical characteristics are determined by our biology. Where did our non-biological characteristics, such as the way we dress, came from? So, take a look at this picture in my left. So, as you can see, that photo on the right, no? Would you agree that this child is a girl? And do you say so because the child is wearing a dress and has a long hair? So this picture example, based on today's norms, so you must say that this baby is a girl. No. However, the child in the picture is actually a U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So taken way back year 1884. So a time when parents this era have did not strict distinguish on the younger children wore on that uh, wore or what their hairstyle was in a relation on their sex. No. So though this genderless look applied to a younger children only because uh, kaning time they got a little older, gender appropriate look was their strictly observed. So according to the World Health Organization, so as we define gender as socially constructed, the characteristic of a male person and a female person. So etymologically, so the word gender is came from the Latin word genus. So meaning kind, type, or sort. So it is a legal status differentiated through social rule, behaviors, capabilities, emotional, intellectual, and social characteristic attributes to a given culture to women and men. The social difference and relation between men and women, which are learned very widely among societies and culture and change over time. The term gender does not replace the term sex, which refers exclusively to a biological difference between men and women. So, uh, for example, statistically, since the data are broken down by sex. So the term gender is used to analyze the roles, responsibilities, constraints, opportunities, and needs of women and men in all areas in any given social context. Acceptable characteristic of a gender vary between societies. So for example, in countries influenced by the American culture, like that this includes the Philippines. So women wear skirts and long dresses or gowns as these are associated with being feminine and are socially appropriate for the female sex. However, so in the Middle Eastern, Asian, and the African cultures, so men wear long robes, no? While Scottish men wear a kilt. You know what kilt is? A knee-length garment resembling as a skirt. So these clothes are considered masculine or socially appropriate for their respective cultures. So these cultural differences show that the gender and characteristics are depend on what the community deem acceptable. So unlike a person's sex, gender is not inborn. Uh, the corresponding terms for the gender are masculine and feminine. So what is difference between sex and gender? So we will show this through gender, our gender we develop in the community, in the society. So what is the difference between sex and gender? So sex is primarily refers to a physical attributes, body characteristic, notably sex organ, which are distinct in majority of individuals. So is biologically determined by genes and hormones. Media does it. It's relatively fixed or constant through time and across culture. The other hand, the gender is the composite of attitude and behavior of men and women. Now, the masculinity and the femininity. So, it's learned and perpetuated primarily through the family, education, religion. So, where dominant and is an a acquired identity because it is a socialized. It may be variable through the times and across the culture. Theoretical perspective on gender and the family. So, the family is essential, natural, and fundamental unit of society. So there is a widely accepted and supported belief so that the nuclear family so constituted of a legal married parents raising their biological offspring in an exclusive arrangement is the singular morally and socially desirable, the choice of adults and the children alike. No, so now I will discuss the following are the multiplicity of the theoretical arguments. So as to why this beliefs is sustained. First, we're talking about the functionalist. What is functionalist, by the way? So it assumes that the traditional nuclear family is a natural unit and exists to maintain social order and mutually beneficial to all. So, marriage controls sex behavior and ensures it is morally acceptable. Uh, for example, heterosexual and monogamous. And the parents can control children. Second is the Marxist. Marxist, it believed that the nuclear family is valued over the typical working class. So extend the family to encourage material aspiration. So this family unit is organized to reinforce passive acceptance of authority. So acceptance of the authority, hierarchy, and inequality. So thereby keeping the working classes under the control of the middle or upper classes. The third one is the Marxist feminist. Marxist feminist, it explains that the nuclear family benefits the powerful at the expense of the working class. And the women domestic laborers enable the future workforce to be raised at the little cost to the patriarchal capitalist community. So the containment of women's sexual services and domestic uh, within marriage ensures the male workforce is emotionally and physically fit. Okay, now we'll talk about the sexual division of the labor. So this is the part of the development of our gender in the society. So work task is an allocated sexual division of the labor. So either in the private household or in the public economy. So it is a specific expression of the division of the labor where workers are divided according to certain assumption about men's work and women's work. So it is based upon gender division which although socially constructed are frequently believed to be the outcome of the natural attributes and aptitudes of the sexes. No, some form of the sexual division uh, of labor is apparent in the most known societies, but it is a particular manifestation and degree of difference are socially and historically relative. So, what is gender concept? Gender concept, so the push to get people around the world to recognize that gender is one of the major forms of a social difference is massively progressing. So, some countries have taken leaps and bounds in setting up the policies and practices that are gender inclusive. So here in the Philippines, though there is still a lot of room for improvement in terms of addressing gender issues. So in academic discussion and inclusion of a gender studies in the academic curriculum is leading the way in cultivating an empathic and inclusive Filipino society. So gender roles, question. How did you come to understand that you were a boy or a girl? Or how did you know how to act as a boy or as a girl? Now, at birth, a child is assigned a sex category of either male or female. So growing up, the child is taught the norms and behaviors expected of its assigned sex in accordance with the community cultures and tradition. For example, in societies that follow a Christian or Islamic tradition, a male child is taught and expected as a man to pair up with a female alone. No. So a female child is likewise taught and expected as a woman to be attracted to male sex alone. So patriarchal societies expect men to take on physical demanding jobs as well as provide food, shelter, and security for the family. Women, on the other hand, are expected to do household chores as well as take care of the children and the husband. So, a verbatim quote from UNESCO, accomplished since the Fourth World Conference on Women. Summary review show the working definitions of gender role with uh, this verbatim quote in China, Beijing, year 1995. So, gender rules are learned behaviors in a given society, community, or other social group. So, they conditions, activities, tasks, and responsibilities are perceived as a male or female. So, gender rules are affected by age, class, race, ethnicity, religion, and by geographically, economic, and political environment. Uh, gender rules are social expectation comprising as a range of behavior and attitude. So, consider acceptable and appropriate based on the assigned sex. No. The term gender rule was coined by a psychologist and author, no, John William Money in his research on how intersex people express their being male or being female. Gender rules are focused on the concept of femininity and masculinity. So, uh, society expect people to adhere to their gender rules. No? All culture have expectation on what adult men, adult women should and should not do. Oh. So this division between sexes is historical based on the two factors. Number one, acquiring the basic needs to stay alive. Number two, the biological reality that only women give birth. Even though only women give birth and have historically taken the responsibility of caring up for the offspring, so there is a little evidence that men and women differ when it comes to various human traits and behavior. So, however, most culture focus on only on the most basic difference between sexes, childbearing. And from this, cultivated simplistic generalization on men and women. So, this generalization or stereotypes were passed on the children through socialization and gender rules were established. Let us proceed with the gender role in the society. Uh, in many contemporary societies, women and men undertake typical tasks and responsibilities. So, when people are faced with the issues of allocation, so they generally divide them into two important categories: the female work or the male work. So, these tasks are allocated according to traditions and accepted norms in a particular culture, and in effect determine the masculine and feminine roles. On the basis of sexual division of labor, so there are five categories of human activities. So, namely, reproductive role, productive role, community management role, community politics role, and multiple roles. In reproductive role, so this include childbearing or rearing responsibilities and domestic tasks done by women. So this is divided into three. The first one, human or biological reproduction. It includes not only bearing children but also reproducing the relationship of marriage, kinship, fertility, and sexuality. Second one is reproduction of labor. It means the care of socialization and children and the maintenance of adult individuals so will fit into social structure society. And the third one is the social reproduction. So these activities include caring of children, adults, and all through activities of feeding the children, cooking food for adult and old, washing, cleaning, nursing, and many other household activities. Now, the second one is the productive role. So this refers to the social production or the production of commodities in which goods and services are for exchange rather than for immediate consumption. So both men and women are engaged in these activities. So these activities carry a reward in the form of wages in cash or kind in return to their labor or reproductive they produce. So however, men generally dominate in these activities due to having more time and better skill to get higher wages, while women are concentrated in labor intensive, uh, low paid jobs. The third one is community management role. So this activity is related to the governance of community life, the organization of culture and social activities. Community management work is voluntarily and unpaid work. Now, both women and men are engaged in these activities. So, however, men gain in this by earning social prestige and social leadership. So, whereas women community management role is valued as doing some work in their free time. Now, the fourth one is the community politics rules. So, this activity is undertaken by men at the community level. So, organizing the formal political often within the framework of national politics. So, this is usually paid work, no, either directly or indirectly through status or power. The fifth one is multiple rule. So both men and women play multiple roles. The significant difference between, however, so this is that men are typically playing their roles sequentially, focusing on a single productive role. So, however, women usually play the roles simultaneously balancing the demands of each within their limited time constraint. Gender equality and equity. In the year 1995, uh, a world conference was held in Beijing, China. So that discussed strategies aimed at reducing inequalities between men and women. The conference was a call to all governments as well as all kinds of organizations to promote and put active decision making policies so that quoting the UNESCO summary report. So before discussion are taken, an analysis is made of the effects on women and men respectively. So as manifested in their male and female roles, at the center of all programming, actions, and evaluation, so as there as can be no sustainable development as long as discrimination of one of the two sex or gender exists. The injustice created by inequalities based on gender or sex discrimination threatens in the long run not only the discriminated gender but the entire society. So, what is the difference between gender inequality and gender equity? So, to quote the ABC of women, workers' right, and gender equality, and as included in the UNESCO review. So gender equality, equality between men and women, entails the concept of all human beings. So both men and women are free to develop their personalities, personal abilities, and make choice without the limitations set up by stereotypes. So rigid gender rules and prejudices. Gender equality means that the different behavior, aspiration, and need of women and men are considered. So valued and favored equality, it does not mean that women and men have to become the same, but their rights, responsibilities, and opportunities will not depend on whether they are both male or female. Gender equity means fairness of treatment for women and men according to their respective needs. So this may include equal treatment or treatment that is different but which is considered equivalent in terms of rights, benefits, obligations, and opportunities. The global commitment to gender equality and equity is founded on the principle that sustainable development can only be ensured if the two sexes, the male and female, are seen as complementary biological entities, and that the equality and equity of the social rules that male and female assume in a life are fully respected. The executive summary on the role of women in development stated, in order to ensure sustainable development, it has become imperative to recognize the importance of two sexes, which is male and female, as complementary biological entities, and moreover, to respect full equity and equality of the two genders of the social rules that men and women assume in their lives. These rules must be emphasized are socio-political and cultural constructs, so which have evolved through history and vary from one society to another. The fact that the rules attribute to men and women are not static and eternally valid, but on the contrary, that these rules have changed, and are prone to further changes is essential explaining why term gender is now in the front of debate. Why it is not interchangeable so with the term sex, but is in fact complementary to it. While the sex of a being is given, the gender rules in society uh, are the ultimate analysis of the consequence of a political choice. So how men and women are perceived and treated in the societies in one the cornerstone of any political system, and most of it revealing faces. So gender mainstreaming is a concept was first proposed in the year 1985 at the Third World Conference on Women, but was only formally featured a decade later. So the UN Economic and Social Council report for 1997 so provide a formal definition of gender mainstreaming, to wit, mainstreaming gender perspective is the process of assessing the implication for women and men of any planned action. So including legislation, policies, or programs in all areas and at all levels. So it is a strategy for making women's as well as men's concern and experience an integral dimension of the design implementation. So monitoring and evaluation of the politics are programs in all political, economic, and societal spheres so that women and men benefit equally and inequality is not perpetuated. So the ultimate goal is to achieve gender equality. The goals of the gender mainstreaming concept are to forge and strengthen political will to ensure gender equality at the local, regional, national, and the global level. So incorporate a gender perspective into the planning process, appraisal, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of policies, programs, and projects in all levels of government and all non-government sectors, be it on a non-profit or for-profit organization. So, the third one, as targeted and specific data to measure policy impact because policies do not affect men and women the same way. Yeah. Provide the decision makers so necessary tools and training regarding awareness, gender awareness, gender analysis, and gender planning. So the fifth one is to ensure the cooperation between the government and the private sector, civil societies, and the other stakeholders to make the best use of gender mainstreaming resources. Are three key principle of a gender mainstreaming. So, as outlined in the gender management system, uh, are empowerment, accountability, and integration of effort. So, the first one is the empowerment. So, it means having control over issues and decisions that affect your life. So, to be given a voice in decision making, bodies are control over the distribution of resources and uh, deliberate corporate action must be taken in areas where people are underrepresented. The third one is the integration of effort. So it is high degree of coordination to ensure that the gender mainstreaming is a holistic approach to transforming structures that create or perpetuate gender inequality. So rather than just making a band-aid solution. So it is important to reflect the diversity in society. So because men and women are not just biological categories but also includes elements like race or ethnicity, age, social class, etc. Gender inequalities cannot be adequately addressed unless inequalities arising from these variables are also addressed. There are five areas of gender mainstreaming. So, mainstreaming activities and implementation measures. So, number one, gender sensitive language. Words used in addressing both men and women must make both visible. So, gender sensitive language applies to all kinds of written material as well as in verbal communication. So, the second one is the gender specific data collection and analysis. So, collecting analysis and presentation of data should be gender specific and take social dimensions such as age, ethnicity, income, and education, among others, in consideration whenever possible. And the third one, equal access and equal use of services. The different effects of products and services to men and women must be equal access. Uh, the fourth one, decision must equally involve all people. So, measures and strategies must be geared towards a balanced and equal representation of a gender. The fifth one is equal treatment is integrated into management. So paying attention to the different needs of women and women in the workforce. A person's role in gender mainstreaming are two. Number one, be sensitive to the needs of the person without prejudice to gender. Number two, value the capabilities of the individual, irrespective of gender. Number three, make sure that equal opportunity policy is in place at home, at work, and in the community. Number four, participate in activities that promote gender equality. Why is gender mainstreaming important? Number one, involving all gender makes full use of human resources. Number two, accepting the human beings are diverse and attending to their needs equally would lead to a just and humane society. Number three, involving all genders in decision making would allow a new ideas and concept to emerge that would better serve the community. And the fourth one, gender mainstreaming would lead to efficiency as all kinds of potentials are tapped and utilized. So, gender violence, also known as gender-based violence or gendered violence, is a term used to refer to harm done into a person or groups of people due to their gender. So, according to European Commission, an institution of the European Union responsible for the legislative proposal, implanting decision, upholding a EU treaties, and managing the EU's day-to-day activities. Gender violence is violence directed against a person because of the person's gender. So including gender identity or expression. So or as violence that affects person of a particular gender disproportionately. Harmful actions inflicted on people based on their gender are connected to the traditional understanding of gender and gender role. The term gender violence is first used to mean violence against women and girls. Now, but the violence does happen to all people, men, women, children, and individuals whose self-expression do not conform to their sex. So, however, the majority of the victims are women, girls, and transgender people. The majority of the abusers are men. Gender-based violence can happen at home, on the street, or either online or in the workplace, and it is rooted in the power inequalities between men and women. There are 5 forms of gender violence. The physical violence, sexual violence, psychological violence, economic violence, and technology or facilitated gender-based violence. So, physical violence are any act or use to force to cause physical harm. Physical violence includes, among others, battering, assault, female genital mutilation, honor crimes, and or manslaughter. That is physical violence. Number two, the sexual violence. Any sexual act performed without consent. So this could be rape, sexual assault, sexual trafficking, and or sexual exploitation. So that's sexual violence. Number three, psychological violence. So any act that cause harm to the mind and emotions of a person or a group of people. So psychological violence could be verbal assault, insults, harassment, defamation, or coercion, and or illegal detention. So that is psychological violence. The fourth one is the economic violence. So any act that cause harm to the individual's productivity, for education, property damage, restricting access to financial resources, depriving economic responsibilities. So that is economic violence. The fifth one is that technology facilitated gender-based violence. The use of the technology to cause harm to an individual because of their gender. So this type of violence could be anything related to the internet, especially social medias. Sides of gender-based violence. So these are sites is we develop in it is part of the development in our different environment in that society. So the family prepares its members for social life. The family forms are our stereotypes, biases, perception, and concept about gender. So it is also one of the primary site of the gender violence where any of the various forms occur. Since family matters are considered private and the abuse happens at home, so information on gender violence within the family is minimal. So and the victim rarely gets much needed help. So as group that shares common views, or the community or society, so reinforces existing family structures. So thus power inequality that exists in the family gets amplified in the society. So behavior of a male abuser gets justified by a consisting society since the shares the view that women must be controlled. The workplace is also a site of gender violence. Women are vulnerable to sexual violence and economic violence. It is the state obligation to develop and implement measures that would stop gender violence. So, however, the state becomes a site for gender violence when it fails to pass and enact laws that protects its citizens from any and all forms of gender violence. So the state legitimizes abusers when its policies, laws, and enforcement are discriminatory. Gender stereotypes. Stereotyping abounds in any society. So, most people in diverse organizations try to tolerate difference by making generalization that categorize individuals into groups. So stereotypes is a widely accepted judgment or bias about a persons or group. Since stereotypes about gender can cause unfair treatment because of the person's gender. Significantly, gender stereotypes are beliefs about the characteristic and qualities attributed to men and women in society. So, gender stereotypes has four basic kinds. Personal traits. Women are often expected to be accommodating and emotional, while men are usually assumed to be self-confident, aggressive. Second, domestic behaviors. Some people presume that women will cook, clean the home, and take care of the children. Men take care of finances, work on the car, and do home repairs. The third one is the occupation. So some people are quick to assume that teachers and nurses are women, no? And that pilot, doctors, and engineers are men. The fourth one is physical appearance. So women are expected to be in thin and graceful. So while men are supposed to be tall and muscular, men and women are also supposed to dress and prepare in ways that are stereotypical to their gender. Example, men wearing pants and has a short hairstyle, and women wearing dresses and has a makeup. And now let us proceed with influence on gender identity and stereotypes. So, identity and stereotypes, it includes a development in the society in our different environment. So, gender identity is complicated development process that is believed to be influenced by several factors. So, namely, media, friends, family, and school. So, the media, gender stereotypes are pervasive in the media or popular culture. So, consumers' products overwhelm children with gender. So, type message on towels, bed sheets, clothes, school supplies, toys, furniture, etc. So, these products are a merchandise in the stores by gender, creating exaggerated pink and blue aisles for shopping. So likewise, advertising about computers typically depicted men as competent users and engaged in active professional roles. So while women were passive observers are merely posed next to the computer while looking pretty or provocative. So friends, the peer groups. So children have been shown to generate gender characteristics or patterns through their interactions with others. So significantly, friendship patterns and peer pressure so contribute to gender stereotypes, especially among boys. So who tend to self police peers, ridiculing those who demonstrated feminine personalities. So children gender type toy likings are more likely to be exhibited when in the proximity of peers who approve the gender type choices. So third one, the family. Parents begin to transmit sex rules, stereotypes as soon as a children is born. So girls and boys are treated differently. They are dressed differently and different toys. Boys are given toy cars, airplanes, etc. While girls are given dolls, toy pots, plates, and cups, etc. The toys given to the girls indicated their roles as the homemakers rather than workers. So mothers mostly favored a affiliative play with their daughters. So they encouraged interactions that were responsive, supportive, and warm. While fathers, on the other hand, respond negatively to cross-gender behavior, especially with their sons. The fourth one is the school. So the role of school has become more prominent in the lives of children. Teachers have a preference to treat boys and girls differently through rule assignments, rewards, and punishment for academic work. So teachers may tend to reprimand boys more severely than girls for doing poorly in such subjects as science and math, because they are expected to do better than girls in this subject. So school also offer different games for girls and boys. So example, girls play netball while boys play soccer. Most games played by boys tend to be more competitive than those for girls. What are the common terms in the gender stereotypes? So one of the typical stereotype example is on a racial profiling. So which represent the idea of all blacks are good at sports because grouping their races indicate that every one of the race is good at athlete. So, another stereotype is the gender profiling. So which presume that men are strong and men are not. Women are not. Stereotypes also exist in cultural profiling, which also presents a wrong premise. An example of this stereotyping is by saying that an Italian or French people are the best lovers. Arabs and Muslims are terrorists. People who live in the England have bad teeth. Or black Americans are deficient. So the other common terms in the gender stereotypes are as follows: a gender role, gender division of labor, gender identity, gender dysphoria, gender schema, gender consistency. The gender rule refers to the socially constructed and cultural a specific behavior and expectation for women or men. So based on heteronormat heteronormativity. The second one is the gender division of labor. It is socially healthy ideas and practices, so which defines what rules and activities are believed appropriate for men and women. Third one is gender identity. So it refers to one's psychological sense of oneself as a male, female, and gender transgressive, etc. The fourth one is the gender dysphoria. It is the term that applies to the discontent, so with the physical or social aspect of a person's sex. The fifth one is the gender schema. It is a term that applies to the organized set of beliefs and expectations that guides a person's understanding of gender or sex. The sixth one is the gender consistency. It applies that the understanding that your own and other people's sex is fixed across situations regardless of a superficial changes in appearance or activities. The gender script, it refers to a temporally organized gender-related sequence of events. So a female gender script can be laundry, cooking, and a male gender script can be building, mowing, or barbecuing. A gender assignment or typing. So this term is applied for the classification of an infant at birth as either male or female. Gender expression. This refers to the behavior and physical appearance that a person utilizes to express their gender. Discrimination. So, it is the systematic unfavorable treatment of individuals by gender, which denies those rights, opportunities, or resources. Gender discrimination. So, according to the International Labor Organization Discrimination Convention number 111 and the year 1958, so discrimination is any distinction, exclusion, or preference made on the basis of race, color, sex, religion, political opinion, national attraction, or social origin, which has the effect of nullifying or impairing equality of the opportunity or treatment in employment or occupation. Although this definition is focused on employment, so discrimination occurs in all forms, such as the education, access to the benefits, resources, and or public services. Gender discrimination is a subtle or overt display of inequality treatment in opportunities, benefits, privileges, expectation, etc. Due to attitude towards a particular sex. So the Judicial Council Advisory Committee on Gender Bias in the Courts report in the year 1996. So it stated that it is a behavior or decision making process which is based on or reveals so stereotypical views on the roles of men and women, or perception of a woman or a man, relative worth, and myths and misconception about the social and economic relatives encountered by males and females. So, however, gender discrimination is different from sexism. Sexism is defined as looking down on the sex as inferior, and the belief of females are inferior to males. So the basis of prejudice and the presumption of a inferiority of a particular sex is impelled in that term, sexism. So gender discrimination affects all people, but studies show that women and people who do not conform to society's traditional gender expectations are affected the most, especially so when they come from middle or low income groups. Moreover, people who are discriminated for their gender usually also fall victim to gender violence. So, why does gender discrimination happen? Uh, Culture is seen to be the root cause. Gender discrimination opposes the idea of gender equality and quality, like equity, because these ideas are viewed as a threat to cultural tradition and social order. So, gender discrimination exists in different forms all over the world. The most common types experienced by the victims are these present types of gender discrimination are discrimination in education, discrimination in employment, maternity and pregnancy discrimination. So the discrimination in education, so the unequal treatment in admission, financial aid, grading, classroom assignment, counseling, guidance, or academic programs and opportunities. Discrimination in employment are there are four major ways in which people are discriminated in the workplace. Hiring, the employer or the hiring officer has biases regarding the work ethic of a gender. Pay and benefits. Men generally receive higher pay and given more opportunities to grow career-wise. Promotion. At work, there are phenomenon called glass ceiling, no? A metaphor used to describe an invisible but constantly present barrier that prevents women and members of the minority sectors from rising beyond other levels in a corporate hierarchy. Firing, being terminated from a job due to prejudices against one's gender. Third one, maternity and pregnancy discrimination. So usually, these forms of discrimination is work related. A pregnant female can get a job because she is pregnant. So while others get demoted or fired from from work because of her pregnancy. What is gender sensitivity? Gender sensitivity is about recognizing the issues and problems in how society perceives gender. So this includes understanding how stereotypes, discrimination, and gender roles adversely affect people. So the concept of gender sensitivity was developed to help reduce barriers to personal and economic development. So created by gender-related problems. So being gender sensitive is to be aware of how people think of gender and rely less on traditional assumptions or views on the role of women and men. It is about giving equal respect and upholding the dignity of every person in thought, words, and actions. Now, gender sensitive language. So it has been a tradition in English language to use manly reference when describing a general terms. For example, using man and mankind to refer all people. So consider these words: postman, chairman, freshman, congressman, fireman, and when anything is made by human beings. So it is called man-made, or the praise one's own man. So meaning independent. So while another says as one man. So meaning anonymous. So on the other hand, have you tried using female identified terms to apply both genders? Huh? Ask a heterosexual male student if he finds it acceptable to address as chairwoman when the time comes when will hold such position. So moreover, based on what you know about how to address people in authority, would people tolerate you addressing a man as a chairwoman? Why are there dire consequences when female identified terms are used to mean both genders? So, but it is perfectly acceptable to use male identified terms. So, to mean both male and female. So, what's the big deal with male identified terms? With concern with continually using male identified terms in describing all people is what that these terms also continually reinforcement system that consider as a men as superior and have authority over women. In a world where gender-based problems are reality, so the words people use actually add force to this harsh reality. So words are person's tool of thought. It can be used to maintain, current situation where gender is an issue, or it can be used to create a new reality that inclusive and fair. No? If we believe every person should be respected, and everyone has the right to be treated fairly, so then we should seriously think about how to show this belief by the words we use. The United Nations released guidelines aimed to at helping the UN staff communicate in gender inclusive language. So, gender inclusive language means speaking in a manner that does not discriminate against a sex, gender, identity, and perpetuate gender stereotypes. So the recommendation were developed by an interagencies working group of the Department of General Assembly and Conference Management, the Department of Management, the Department of Global Communication, and the UN Women. The project was called Supporting Gender Equality in Multilingual Contexts, aim at creating a working environment that embraces equality, eradicates bias, and inclusive for all staffs. According to the UN, the best practices or strategies to the more gender inclusive in using the English language are the non-using discriminatory language, use pronouns that persons identify with using Miss or Mrs. Use Miss to address a woman when the preferences is not known. Miss is more inclusive and can refer to any woman regardless a marital status. Avoid gender bias expression. So, example, he fights like a girl, no? In a manly way. What a tomboy. What gender visible only when it is relevant for communication. So, use the feminine and masculine pronouns to explicitly make both men and women visible in the message. So, this strategy called a pairing. For example, each student has his or her own learning style. Once we have a winner, she or he will move on the next round. So, however, pairing must not be overused because uh, it would become distracting and confusing. So avoid using she or he in written communication. So the proper way to indicate both women and men is to spell out the word such as she or he or he or she. Do not make gender visible when it is not relevant for communication. No? Cameraman, gender noun. Camera operator, that is gender neutral noun. Policeman, that is gender noun. Police officer, that is gender neutral noun. Gender inclusive language, so it is a noun. So language that place both women and men at the same level. So, gender sensitive lexicon that does not convey gender stereotypes, so often used by those who want gender equal world. The gender neutrality and the Filipino language, especially here in the Philippines. So the Philippine language are classified as a subfamily of the Austronesian language. Austronesian language. But what is more interesting is that the Filipino language is notably So do not use gender-specific pronouns. No? For example, siya, niya, kanya. That's our pronouns that are used for both females and males. So, however, after centuries of being colonized by Spain, some people nouns patterning to family, work, and when describing a person's coming from a particular country, suffix for feminine and for masculine were added at influenced by highly gendered Spanish language. Hence, like tita, that is aunt, and tito, or that is uncle. The lolo, that is grandfather, and the lola is grandmother. Another example is the lavandera, a woman who gets paid washing clothes, washerwoman. And the lavandero is a man assigned to wash clothes. Tendera, female vendor. Tendero, male vendor. Filipina, another example is Filipina, Filipino. Americana, Americano. Koreana, Koreano. So, however, despite that infusion of Spanish inflection with how the locals communicate, the Filipino language is still among those considered as a genderless language.